I'm going to be sharing my top SEO tips for 2022, and I've narrowed it down to 7. Each one is super important for all websites, but perhaps even more so for affiliate or niche sites. We're going to be moving fast, so this is going to be a pretty short video that is hopefully packed full of value. So you might want to use the pause button to make some notes. Talking of buttons, if you find value in this video at any point, I'd love you to give it some YouTube SEO love and hit the like button. So the first tip that I'm going to give you is to focus on search intent. And what I mean by this is essentially giving the searcher, so the person that's in Google and typing in their search, giving them what they're looking for. Our aim here is to not send the user back to Google. For one, it means that we've not satisfied the user intent, so we've not given them a particularly great experience on our website. And secondly, we've given Google a huge indication that our website shouldn't appear in the search results for that particular search term. We've given them a negative SEO signal by allowing the user to go back to Google and continue their search on page 1. This is something we saw a lot in 2021, and it's only going to become more important in 2022. Google have been very clear on the fact that they want to satisfy that user intent to the best that they can. So the big question is, how do we satisfy search intent? And for me, the answer to this always lies within our content. We want to produce the highest quality content that we possibly can. Now that doesn't necessarily mean having the longest article, because you could include a lot of filler or fluffy language in there. But at the same time, we need to give enough information within our content that the user gets enough information to satisfy that search. The easiest way to do this is to put yourself in the shoes of the searcher. Imagine that you're trying to find information that relates to that target keyword for that particular page, and look at your content. If it answers that query and it does so to a decent level, or it allows them to then find out more information by clicking through, maybe through to an affiliate link or to another article, then that is going to satisfy the search intent. The key thing is, as I've pointed out, is do not allow them to go back to Google. Next up is something that is again a bit of a hangover from 2021, and it is Core Web Vitals. Now my advice here is to not sleep on this. Don't put your head in the sand and think that it's going away. It isn't. Google have put a huge amount of time, effort and money into rolling out Core Web Vitals in 2021, and we now have access to a lot of data. If you've got decent traffic on your website, you'll get field data, which is the best data to be looking at, and you really want to be focusing in on those core metrics that Google puts so much emphasis on. It's also fair to say that Core Web Vitals probably hasn't had as big an impact on some rankings as many predicted in 2021, but in 2022 the chances are that it is going to become a more important ranking signal. Factors to focus on here are things like the theme that you're using. Page builders in particular are notoriously bad for adding bloat to a page, which can impact on speed. Plugins can be the same. Any kind of code that is pulling data externally, and ensuring that your images are properly optimized. Just make sure that you go through the Core Web Vitals report, again particularly using field data, but if you don't have that you can use the lab report and just try and tick off as many of those as you possibly can. The next tip is to focus on backlinks. Now, yes, backlinks, it's not going away, I'm sorry to say. It's going to be here. It's still going to play a massively important role in how Google sees websites. But what we're not going to do is fill our backlink profile with sites that everyone is using, those $20, $30, $40 links that get emailed around. We're not interested in those. All we're interested in really here is backlinks from websites that are relevant to the niche of your website and that has some decent traffic. For me, my traffic metric that I tend to work from as a minimum is 1,000 hits per month, and I'll just use Ahrefs data for this. You can use SEMrush too. And don't really focus and worry too much about other metrics like DR and DA and trust flow and all of that. Just focus on those 2 points. Focus on relevance and focus on traffic. If you get those right, 9 times out of 10, it's going to really help your backlink profile. Try and keep a fairly natural looking anchor text profile, so mix it in with some branded stuff. You can do the odd bit of exact match anchor text. In other words, if you're trying to rank for best Heelys, I don't know why I came up with that, then you would maybe once out of 10 links have best Heelys as your anchor text, and then the rest of the time you're going to go for more generic stuff. My next tip is one that many people overlook, particularly people with affiliate or niche websites. It's something that people with real stores do really well, and it is to create a rock solid brand. What do we mean by this? Well, what we want to have is a real business presence online, and we want Google to be able to connect our dots as much as possible. The easiest dots to find are social profiles. So at the very least, we want to make sure that we've got our Facebook, our Instagrams, our Twitters, those profiles set up. You can look at YouTube, you can look at Pinterest, and have those links back to our website, probably our homepage, within the bios. And if you've got a real address that you can use, then you can set up a Google My Business, which is only going to further enhance that brand. Again, what we're looking to do here is to create the image that this is a real business. Now, in many cases, you will have a real business, so make sure that Google knows it is a real business. But even if it isn't, even if it is one of 10 affiliate websites that you own, we want to create that impression. And ultimately, it's still a brand. So get that brand out there. If you have any questions about SEO, and I'm not quite sure why I'm whispering here, like this is a secret, but if you do have any questions about SEO, drop them in the comments below. And if you like this sort of content, why not consider subscribing? We talk about affiliate websites, we talk about SEO, and we talk about case studies and all that sort of good stuff. So please consider subscribing. The next point to focus on in 2022 is to really show off your expertise, your authority, and your trustworthiness around the topic that is related to your website. So how do we do this? Well, we can use things like author biographies, meet the team pages, about us pages to really delve deeply into and show off the expertise and the authority of our contributors to our website. Now, it might be that you use writers if they're happy for you to create biographies, or if they're happy to supply a biography, then you can include those. And even if you're using ghostwriters, then you can, if you decide to, you could create biographies that kind of match the skill set of that writer. The point here is that we want to demonstrate that we have expertise in our subject and an authority. I don't know why I find that word so hard to say. Authority in our niche or industry. And then that is going to lead to Google and our users trusting the content that we have. This is even more important if you are in a niche that is a your money or your life kind of niche. So anything to do with health or finances, you need to be displaying that expertise, authority, and trust. This next point is quick and easy for me to say, but it's not so quick and easy to do. And it's all about consistency and velocity. And really we're focusing on two key points here, which is your content and your link building. So consistency is just that you're going to continue to publish and release that content and build those links at a consistent rate. And velocity is the speed at which you do it. So the faster you can build those links and the faster that you can push out that content, the likelihood is that website is going to start to rank quicker and gain more trust and more authority within Google's eyes. That doesn't mean that you want to start off at 100 miles an hour, but what it does mean is that you don't want to start off releasing articles 5 times a week and then suddenly revert back to once a month, because that's not going to be a very positive signal. And you might see that initial growth, but then you're going to stall. And if anything, you want to double down. When you start to see a website performing well, you want to speed that up. My 7th tip is to know your niche. And what I mean by this is that the content that you create for your website is specific to that niche, and you're not going to veer too far out of that either way until you are absolutely dominating your space. And even then, it might be the best decision to not try and expand. But if you feel that there is room for expansion, then by all means do that, but focus on that specific niche first. Cluster your content so that you've got that particular topic absolutely nailed before you move on to another. My final SEO tip for 2022, and this is a bonus one, is to next go over and watch this video, which talks about how to create content for affiliate websites. And it will talk about everything from planning, writing, editing, and publishing your content to give it the best possible chance of ranking. Thanks for watching, and good luck.